Hello soulmates, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time of seeing my channel, thank you for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for watching. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this corset top which have a yoke. If you're interested in joining this tutorial, please join me while we get started. So for the making of this dress, I'm going to be making use of this white lace which is about trouser length, and I'm going to be using this satin. This is a doll face and I'm using 1.5 inch of this doll face, and I'm using the bra cup as well. That is the bra cup I was going to use for another dress, but I'm going to be using it for this, and then a zipper. So on your pattern paper, which should be on a fold, you're going to draw your starting line, draw your shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waist, and shoulder to hip. So I've already gone ahead to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and label it. My shoulder to bust is 9.5, shoulder to under bust is 13 inches, shoulder to waist 16 inches, and shoulder to hip is 24 inches. So the distance between the waist and hip is 8 inches. So I'm just going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on the starting line. I came down by 1 inch and I marked 7 inches, which is my armhole depth, which I derived from dividing my bust circumference by 6 and adding 1.5. So at that point, I drew a straight line and I labeled it my chest line. So I'm just going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on the chest line, then connect it to meet that point where I came down by 1 inch from the starting line. So that became my armhole depth. So now I'm just going to mark 3 inches for my neck width, and then from that point I'll connect it to the 1 inch below the shoulder line for my shoulder slope. Then I mark a neck depth of 3 inches and I use my curve to join it together like this. So that is going to be the neck curve. So for me to get the armhole curve, I came to the armhole depth and I divided it by 2. From that midpoint, I came in by 0.5. Then I mark my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line, and then I'm using my curve ruler to connect these 3 points together just like this for me to get my armhole curve. So after doing this, I'm just going to come to the center front on the bust line. I'm going to come from the center front and mark 0.25 at that point. Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to be using a three-piece cup corset. We're going to be making a three-piece cup for this corset, and we are going to be deriving that here. So from that 0.25 I marked from the center front, I started from that point and marked my bust part measurement divided by 2. Okay, I'm working with 7 inches, divided by 2 is 3.5. So from that 0.25 I went ahead to connect a straight line down. So the 0.25 is going to be from the bust line down to the hip line. Okay, so from that 0.25 I marked 3.5 inches from there down to the hip line, and then I'm going to connect it with a straight line. That is my bust part measurement, which is the nipple to nipple measurement. Okay, so after connecting this with a straight line, so mind you, I'm going to be making a bra cup here, which I'm going to be using for this dress. So I have a detailed tutorial on how you can go about making this cup, and I'm going to leave the link in my description so you can watch it and you can also learn how to make a bra cup yourself. So from the under bust, I mark 1 inch on both sides, and I also did the same thing on the hip line, which I'm connecting with a straight line like this. So after connecting them, I'm going to come to that bust line and I'm going to come down by 0.75. Okay, this is how I'm able to avoid sharp edges there. Okay, so I'm going to use my curve like this and connect it to the under bust with a slight curve, just like I'm doing right now. Okay, so now I'm going to take a compass like this and I'm going to fix my pencil to it. So ensure you fix it properly and then lock it very well for it to be firm. Now I'm going to take the point of my compass and place it at that bust part measurement on the bust line, and I'm going to place the pencil on that 0.25 from the center front. Okay, so ensure that it's accurate. Then after doing this, I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle with this. Please ensure that your hand is not shaking. Ensure you do this accurately so that the circle will be straight. So now this circle is just going to be a guide for us. Okay, it's not like we are going to be using it, we're just going to be using it as a guide. So I'm using my marker to trace it with broken lines, just for us to know or to trace the circles and for it to be visible for us. Okay, so it's just going to be a guide for us. So now after doing this, I'm just going to come towards the center front, oh sorry, the bust pan area. I'm going to come towards the bust pan area, and then from that bust pan line at the center, I'm going to mark 0.25 on both sides. Now the reason why I'm doing this is to avoid sharp edges, like I said. So I realized that if I do this directly with that line, it's always having a sharp edge, and I don't want that. So to avoid it, I'm just going to make it a bit curvy by marking that 0.25 to meet the lines at that 0.75 I marked earlier, like this. So now I'm going to come to the center front from that bust line, and I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, that is on the top and below it, half an inch on both sides, which I'm going to be connecting to meet that bust span line at the center, like I did. So I'm extending that bust span line to the top so that I can be able to do this well. So I'm going to use my marker to connect them together like this. Okay, so now I'm going to be connecting this point, the lower part of that dart from the center front to meet the under bust. Okay, just like I'm doing, you just have to follow me. So you can see I did not really use the lines from the circle, it was just a guide. Okay, so after connecting that, I'm going to take the measurement I have there. What I have there was 3.25, but I'm supposed to be having 3.5, which is my bust span measurement, but because of the 0.25 we took from the center, it was reduced. So after marking that 3.25 at the side, I took the half an inch, which is the 0.25 on both sides of the center there. I added it, and I added extra 0.25. So at the end of the day, when I placed the measurement there and mark my bust span measurement, I added 0.75. Okay, so it's the same thing. If you are a plus size, you're going to be adding 1 inch and not 0.25. You'll be adding 1 inch or 1.25 to that part, and then you'll be able to connect from there. So at that point, I came up and down by half an inch like I did for the other side. That is after adding the 0.75 from the bust span measurement I marked earlier. I went ahead to mark half an inch at the top and below, and I connected them to meet the bust span line like this. I hope you understand what I'm doing. I also have a detailed tutorial where you can learn how to do this properly. Okay, so now from the lower part of that dart from the side, I connected it to meet the under bust. So that other part of the cup is usually fuller. Okay, take note of that, it's usually fuller. That's why we always add extra to it for it to relax properly. Now I'm going to be getting the upper part, and then for that part I'm just going to come up from the chest line by half an inch. This is just going to serve as a guide. Okay, I'm not going to be using this because I'm not going to be making the cup to be very full like an overbust cup. I'm just going to be using that line as a guide. So I'm going to extend the dart line from the top. I'm going to extend it to meet that new line I marked, and I came in from there by 0.5, which I'm connecting to meet the line again. So you can see what I'm doing, just follow what I'm doing and you get it right. And then coming towards the side, because it's having a sweetheart neckline, or whichever neckline you want to use is fine, but I do not want mine to actually go so deep. So what I did is that I extended that 0.25 line up for a guide, and then from that point I came down to my chest line. You know, the we came up before by half an inch from the chest line, so I'm just using my chest line. Now I'm going to extend it with my marker. Okay, so that we can see it very well. From that chest line that I came in, I marked 0.25 from that point. Mind you, I am not starting from the beginning of the paper. Remember, we have 0.25 from that point, so take note of that. Okay, so I came in by 0.25 and I connected it to meet the dart at that point, just like I did. So now, because my cup is not going to be going up, it's not going to be so high, I'm just going to stop at the armhole area at that chest line. Okay, so I'm going to take my curve and connect what I have from the center front to meet at the side front, where I'm going to meet at the armhole or on the chest line. Okay, so just place your ruler. My own is not actually placing it the way I want it, but I'm just going to find a way to go about it. So at the end of the day, I ended up placing it together like this, and this is what I have. So if you want to really get that sweetheart neckline, you can just come down from the center a little bit, maybe by 1 inch or half or 0.75, for it to go a little bit deep. But I don't want mine to be like that. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, so at this point we are going to be getting our yoke. Yes, and the yoke is going to stop at the point where we have the cup, that is the upper cup area. So I'm just going to place my ruler like this to get this shape that I need. So if you follow it carefully, you get it. So at that point I had 3.25 meeting towards the area I have my armhole. Okay, so I'm just going to place it from the top of the shoulder like this to meet on the top of the cup like this. So that's going to be the yoke for the front. Okay, so after that I went ahead to label the cups so that I can be able to indicate them when I want to cut them out. So now at this point I'm just going to go ahead and impute my body measurement. Okay, I'm going to impute my body measurement into this. So now for this center area, before imputing the body measurement, I extended that lines very well, but I noticed that it's not so deep. Then I came down by half an inch, a little bit. Then I went ahead to connect it together to have a slight V shape there so that it can actually give me that shape that I want. If you want it deeper, you can take it deeper, okay, but if you want it to be higher, you can still bring it up a bit. It's all the same. So now I went ahead to impute the body measurement and I added the dart allowance, especially for the area where I have the underbust, the waist and the hip. I added the 2-inch dart allowance and I added a seam allowance of 0.75. You can use 1-inch seam allowance, you can still use 0.75. They are all going to be okay. Okay, so after doing this, I connected them together. So after connecting them together, I'm just going to get the shape I have towards the hem area of the dress. Okay, and I'm going to come down from the waist at the side by 6 inches, and after marking it, I came towards the center and I marked 5 inches there. Then towards the first dart line, I marked 6 inches there. So I'm connecting the 5 inches to the 6 inches at that center area. I'm going to connect it with a slight curve like this with my marker. So after connecting them, I'm going to come to the other side of the dart line and I'm going to be marking 6 inches as well. So without doing this, you can close your dart to get the exact mark there. I came in by 2 inches and from that 2 inches I came up by 1 inch. That is exactly what I did, and I'm connecting that point to meet with the 6 inches there. So now I'm going to connect this other point now to meet with the 6 inches I came below the waist at the side. Okay, I'm just going to place my curve to connect it together, and I went ahead to smoothen it so that that point is not going to be so sharp. So now if you want to ensure that the lines are correct, you can close your dart. You can see after closing my dart, they are correct, they are accurate, and they are matching. So you can do this as well to help you get it well. So after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. At this point, if you find the tutorial very helpful, please ensure to give us a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you can always get notified anytime we upload new videos. And please ensure to leave your questions in the comment section. If you have any question, do ensure to leave it in the comment section. Thank you. Okay, so I noticed that a part of my video was not recording. I'm so sorry about that, but it will not stop you from understanding what we are doing. Okay, so I went ahead to label every part of the front piece, and then after that I'm just going to go to the back piece. Now for the back, I've gone ahead to mark the chest line, bust line, the waistline, and the hip line. So please, I made a mistake at the hip and the waist area, so I'll be using the lines below, not the one on top. I'm just going to indicate that that part is going to be ignored, like the upper line is going to be ignored. I'm not going to be using it. Okay, so now on your waistline, you're going to mark 0.5 or 0.75 from the center front, and then you're going to connect it to the top and connect it to the down. So please ignore what I did here. Okay, use your waistline, from the waistline, mark 0.5, connect it to the top and connect it to the down as well. Then after that, mark your bust span measurement divided by 2 from the chest line to the hip line, connect it with a straight line. Okay, then from that waist area, mark 0.75, or if you are busty very well or you are on the plus size, mark 1 inch. Then I came down from the waist by 4 inches and I connect them together like this. Okay, so go ahead and connect it and extend the lines to the hip. If you don't understand anything, just watch me carefully and you'll get it. And if you have any question, please leave it in the comment section. Now I went ahead to impute the body measurement, adding the dart allowance on the waist to the waist area, and then I also added the dart allowance for the bust. I have about 0.25 allowance there. I added it, and then I added my 0.75, which I'm using for my seam allowance. So whatever you're using, ensure you add it and then connect them together. Okay, so now we are going to be getting the hem area of this dress first, and I came down by 6 inches from the waist. Okay, and then from the center back I came down by 5 inches. So this is me trying to confirm that the waist is actually 6 inches, and yes, that was it. So from the center back I marked 5 inches towards the center back, and I went ahead to connect them together with a slight curve like this. So you don't really need to do it this way. You can do it whichever style. You can still repeat the style that we have on the front here, and it's okay, but this is how I want mine to be. Okay, so then I'm going to come towards the shoulder area to get the design at the back, that is the yoke. So I'm going to come down by 2 inches for the neck width, and I'm going to connect my neck width. So you can use 1.5 for your neck width. I think 1.5 is standard and better, but I'm using 2 inches, and that's what I want. So you can still use 2 inches, is fine. So I went ahead to take the midpoint of my shoulder area, and I connected it to meet the bust span line like this. From that shoulder area I marked 0.25 on both sides and connected it together. Okay, this is me just trying to tighten the yoke, okay, so that I can avoid any form of gaping around that area. Okay, especially if you are using a stretchy net or stretchy lace or whatever you are using. If it's very stretchy, please ensure to do this. Okay, so now I came down from the neck width by 1.5, and I also came down from the chest line by 0.5. So that chest line I connected the 0.5 to meet the armhole. Also, that's me just trying to get a slant shape at that area. Okay, it's not necessary you do that. So from the chest line I came up by half an inch again, and I connected it to the armhole. So now I'm going to be taking that part off. That is going to be like it does. I'm going to be taking it off, and this is me trying to avoid gaping. So please note, it is necessary that you take this, especially if you're using a stretchy material. Okay, so now I'm trying to connect this with my curve, but I couldn't do that, so I used my free hand to do this. So I came down by 1.5 from that neck width that I marked earlier, and then I connected it to meet the area where I have my darts. Okay, so this is how I did it, and this is what I indicated circles, tiny circles at that point, to show that that place is the place where we'll be having our buttons. So my zipper is not going to be reaching the yoke area, is going to be stopping at the chest line area. So I went ahead to mark 1 inch all across the center back. Okay, so you can actually mark this on your fabric when you want to cut it, or you mark it on your paper, but I always prefer to mark it on my paper so that I don't forget. So after doing this, I went ahead to label it zipper allowance, and I went ahead to cut it out. So you can carefully watch me as I cut it out, and then follow the same process, and you get it right. So after that, after cutting it, I'm going to cut the dart area as well, and then for the yoke area, after cutting it out, I'm going to close the dart, or I'm just going to cut the dart out. Whichever way you want to do it is fine. You can either close the dart like this, or you cut it out and secure it with your tape. Then after that, you are good to go. So all you need to do is to label it. Please, labeling them is very important, so that when you're cutting them, it's very easy for you. So at this point, we are done with this tutorial. In my next video, I'll be showing us how we'll go about the sewing process of this dress. If you find this tutorial helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. See you guys in my next video.